Hello and welcome to the next episode of the Ship Design Tutorial Series. In today's episode, we're going to be covering FACs or fast attack crafts, as well as fighters and other things relating to that, such as carriers. So we're going to basically be discussing the basic mechanics behind fighters and fast attack crafts and their different quirks and different ideas behind them overall for ship design. So let's first ask the question. What is a fighter? Well, a fighter is a vessel that is 500 tons or less, and can be built in a fighter factory. So unlike a normal ship, anything that is above 501 tons is a normal ship. It does not have to be built in a shipyard. So, if you have a vessel that is 125 tons, you can have it be built in a fighter factory, which is in the industry tab. This means you can use construction factories essentially to equivalent to building fighters, except you build the fighter factories first, and then they build the fighters, and they have their own separate line. This means you can pump out a hell of a lot of fighters extremely quickly, making them very good at dealing with early problems such as NPRs, and other things that might surprise you if you don't have a navy already ready to go. What is a fast attack craft? A fast attack craft is a craft that is between 501 and 1,000 tons. The benefit of a fast attack craft is that it does not need a bridge. As such, you get some space savings. So I'm going to be running through a few designs and kind of talking to you about what you're going to be wanting to look for your fighters and also your fast attack craft. So let's head over to a fighter. So, if you don't know, I'm currently in a older save. This is just disclaimer. This is 1.9.5, so there may be a few things out of place, but it should largely be the same. Just so I can show you certain ships. This was my Halo AAR series game, so I have a lot of military vessels here that I can kind of show off. So let's go to the Interceptor. So we have the GA-T1 class strike interceptor. It goes at a speed of 15,000 kilometers a second. So in C#, there's a few things you have to go over. So the first thing is, and I'm going to kind of label this is the meta and what is best and what is not best. In C#, fighters kind of got really nerfed. From VB6 to C#, they had no more fighter beam fire controls, so they have to use normal fire controls. Beam weapons were nerfed on fighters. Bigger weapon, like a lot of things were nerfed in a way where fighters took the brunt end of it. So as such, what is considered largely by the community is that fighters with box launchers, so that is a launcher that is classified as a box, which makes it very small, but you can only fire once, so you have to reload in the hangar, ideal for fighters, is the only thing that is completely viable for a fighter. And beam weapons aren't. Now, in this, series, in this design, this was an RP design, and so I wanted to model it after Halo. As such, it is going to not be the meta. So, important things to talk about when you're discussing fighters. Number one thing is how are you going to fit that design in with your other stuff? So, the strike interceptor here. What are its benefits and what are its negatives? So we have benefits. It's very fast. Very small. It can get to places quickly. It can resupply. It has missiles and also kinetic weapons, and so it can be used for multiple different roles and be more flexible. So a fighter that's 500 tons fits in 500 tons of cargo space. So if you think about it, right, if you have 10 fighters of 125 tons, then you can fit much more than you have 500 tons in 1,000 space hangar space, because each military hangar is 1,000 tons. Now, of course, there are commercial hangars, and the difference between commercial and military hangar is that the commercial hangar, you can't have maintenance. It doesn't give you maintenance automatically. So if you put something in a military hangar, it will not take maintenance while it's in there. A commercial, you're going to draw maintenance from the ship it's within, but you can obviously put that on the commercial ship, and so you can get some benefits from that. So that's really what a fighter is. I mean, if we have a look over here at where's my strike carrier? So if you can see here, so we have 6,000 tons of hangar deck capacity. So that means that I can fit a total of 12 strike interceptors in that. Keep in mind, you can fit any ship that's small enough below the hangar deck capacity in that ship. So you can have a 10,000 ton frigate inside like a 100,000 ton carrier. That is something you can do, kind of like the UNSC Infinity in that case. But for fighters, obviously you can mass produce them, and they're much smaller and kind of dealt around as being fighters. So you can then look at your template and your ordnance and what you want. So, for example, I have 8 of those strike interceptors, and I have 4 of the Ravens, and those are troop transports. I'll get to those in a bit. And they can be used for various things. So when I'm then building a carrier, I can then land them, assign them when I'm building stuff into that carrier. So if I had a carrier and I wanted to build some interceptors, if we go to Industry tab here, I go Fighter, I can then directly assign that to whichever place has the carrier in, and it will automatically assign it to that vessel without needing to manually assign it. And this works. This doesn't work for FACs or for anything above 500 tons because you can't do it from Industry tab, but it is something else you can consider. So now we're going to get into kind of the roles fighters can take up. There are loads of different roles. You've got the point defense fighters, you've got the box launcher fighters, you've got the boarding fighters, you've got the sensor and scout fighters like survey vessel fighters and stuff like that. So fighters can take many different roles. You can have one point defense using railguns or coil guns or not coil guns but gauss cannons, railguns, using different kinds of beam weapons to act as a point defense system for your fleet. They can be used for strike capability. You pack a ton of box launchers on them and just fire a ton of missiles at the enemy really, really quickly, really, really fast, and get the hell out of there. They can be used for troop transport to basically board other ships. You can fit very small troop carriers onto small fighters, and then you can launch them at very high speeds. And because when you're boarding, the higher the speed, the better chance you have of boarding the enemy, it's better to have them on much smaller ships. This is why most boarding craft tend to be either fighter-sized or FAC-sized craft. So we have a troop carrier here. This can carry 250 tons towards an enemy ship. So this can carry about a platoon in this game of Marines, and that will board an enemy ship and correctly attach onto it and gain and try to take the ship. So and then you also have survey sensors and survey stuff. So you can make a fighter that has a gravitational survey sensor on it and put that in a carrier and use survey carriers where you'll go into a ship, and that can be extremely efficient. In terms of speed and also being able to geologically survey, bring back to the carrier, refuel, don't have to move the big ship, not wasting a lot of fuel. So those are the main roles that we have of carriers that you can look at. Now let's look at fast attack craft. So the thing about fast attack craft is fast attack craft have less benefits, but they also have a small niche here. So if I have a look here, so this is a fast attack craft. This doesn't have a bridge, and as such, it has a lot more space savings. They usually go quite fast. It's going 10,000 kilometers a second. It's got 16 launchers, so it's going to fire these box launchers. So it can fire 16 size 4 missiles in one salvo, very, very quickly. And for 1,000 tons, firing 16 size 4 missiles is a pretty good trade-off. It obviously can't reload those missiles in that time, but that is the benefit you have from a fast attack craft. Very small size, quite fast, you can fit a lot of launchers on it, and you can very much specialize it and use it for certain roles. So that is a stalwart class there for you. So now what I'm going to do is, now that we kind of took theory and discussed what they are, I'm going to design a fighter step by step. So I'm going to design the fighter, and I'm also going to kind of summarize what we've kind of learned. So I'm going to make a new ship. Let's go with the Enterprise, and I'm going to we're going to change the name to some kind of fighter name. Why not? Strike Fighter. Okay, Strike Fighter. We're going to get rid of the bridge. We're going to get rid of the engineering spaces, and we're going to get rid of fuel storage. We are going to add in a engine. We're going to add in a strike interceptor ion drive. It's going to be small enough. We generally want to have very small but very inefficient engines in terms of fuel use. So we want to have very small but powerful engines on fighters to get that speed we really want to get out of it. Then we are going to add in the next thing, which is going to reduce deployment time to 9 days, because a fighter is only going to be operating for a very short period of time in the battle. A battle will only last, maybe a day or 2 days at most. So you don't need to have a 3-month intended deployment time. Now, if you're building a survey fighter, you're obviously going to need more of that, but we're just making a normal military fighter here. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to add in some gauss cannons. So I'm going to add in a coil gun, okay, for some point defense capability. I'm going to add in some beam fire control. So we're just trying to match these, of course. We're going to add in some fire control here. So boom. And then I'm going to add in oh, that one's wrong. I need to make the other one. No, that one's not correct either. Where is it? That's the correct one. There you go. You can smash the tracking speed accordingly here. And this is another thing as well. If you have railguns, they use the ship's speed as their tracking speed, which it can be very beneficial if you've got a fighter that's going very, very fast. And then we're going to add in some missile launchers. So we're going to add in a couple of missile launchers. So missile launcher. We're going to add in 2 of these pods. Then we're going to add... what else are we going to add here? We need to add some fuel. Yeah, we need to add some fuel. So let's add a little bit of fuel in there. I want about 2.3. That seems enough. So that's enough fuel for me. We're going to need some missile fire control to actually be able to fire this. Now, the thing about firing is you can obviously use the carrier's sensors, so you only need the missile fire control for them, or the beam fire control, and you can just use the carrier sensors instead of having its own sensors on it. So we're going to fit on the sensors. So there we go. We got our Rapier missile targeting system. And then for the rest, we're just going to add in some engineering spaces. So we'll add in an engineering space, and there we go. We've got our fighter, 500 tons. No bigger, because obviously that wouldn't be a fighter if it was. And there we go. We've designed a Enterprise-class strike fighter that will be capable of doing quite a bit of damage on its own. Obviously, there's a few inefficiencies here. I should probably beef out this targeting system a little bit more so I can get that better tracking speed. Maybe, change out the engine, improve the engine around, move some other things. But yeah. And then you can look at, okay, it's going to cost me 120 VP. So if I want 16 fighters on my carrier, I'm going to need 120 times 16 kind of thing. So that's how I kind of have to look at it. Now, with the FAC, it's basically the same thing, except for you just design a ship without a bridge, and you make sure it's under 1,000 tons. And that's essentially all you need for that. So yeah, there'll be timestamps. I'll make timestamps for each of the things in the episode. I'm kind of going through this quite fast, but let me know how you enjoyed the episode. But to summarize, fighters are extremely useful vessels that are under 500 tons, can be built in factories and mass-produced very quickly. They can fulfill multiple different kinds of roles, such as point defense, strike fighter, survey, boarding, and many other kinds of different roles that can be extremely useful. They also are capable of doing a lot of damage in swarms, and there's different tactics and doctrines that I'll get into more ship philosophy and doctrine videos. But I hope you have enjoyed. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you next time. And yeah, let me know if I missed anything or anything was awry. Bye-bye.